Rosa Koire is executive director of the Post Sustainability Institute. She's a forensic commercial real estate appraiser specializing in eminent domain valuation. Her 30 years of experience analyzing land use and property value enabled her to recognize the planning revolution sweeping the country. While fighting to stop a huge redevelopment project in her city, she researched the corporate, political, and financial interests behind it and found Agenda 21. Impacting every aspect of our lives, UN Agenda 21 Sustainable Development is a corporate manipulation using the green mask of environmental concern to forward a globalist plan. You said it, corporate fascism. But again, it's corporate globalism. People say fascism's only nationalistic. In the 30s and 40s it was. Fascism is mega corporations taking over your government and shutting down their competition, okay? That's what it is. The New World Order is a global fascist banking cartel takeover of the planet. Continuing here, UN Agenda 21 Sustainable Development is a corporate manipulation using the green mask of environmental concern to forward a globalist plan. Rosa speaks across the nation as a regular blogger on her website, Democrats Against UN Agenda 21. Both parties have been totally taken over by the globalists. That's why Mitt Romney supports Agenda 21, so does Obama. And the simplest boil down is, on Agenda 21, they shut down all the other coal plants that aren't owned by GE and a few other insiders, and then double or triple the power prices. And say it's for the earth. That's what you're seeing. That's one example of we're going to double, triple charge you, it's for the earth. They actually say that in Austin 2 weeks ago. It's for the earth. They increased it 40% last year. Now this year they say, depending on what type of you have, residential, business, church, nonprofit, 20 to 80% increase in 1 year. But the big Formula One globalist out there, he's actually getting a grant from the city and the construction paid for and tax breaks, and they're calling it environmental to build a race car track out in the woods and cut everything down. You got to love it, man. You got to love it. So she joins us. She's the author of the Green Mask, and or Behind the Green Mask. It's available right now. Just went up on the shopping cart at Infowars.com, and it's a Bible to give. It's 180 pages or whatever to give people in your towns, your cities who don't understand what's happening. Even a lot of the minions at the city level don't know what's going on. Okay, Rosa, this show has some longer segments. You'll have some time to roll. I want you in this segment and the next to tell us how you woke up, the basics of Agenda 21, why the New York Times and others are coming out panicking, saying folks are waking up, how important this is, and then we're going to take an hour of calls from people and their questions across the country next hour. Rosa Koire, good to have you here with us.
Great, Alex. It's great to be with you. You know, I'd like to just start for 1 minute just by saying, yes, our website is Democrats Against UN, agenda21.com. But, of course, this is not a left-right issue. It's not a Democrat-Republican issue. This is an issue for all Americans and all people in the world, because United Nations Agenda 21 is a globalist takeover plan. It's a plan that inventories and controls all resources, both human and natural, and all means of production in the world. It is the action plan for the 21st century, and that's what the United Nations calls it. So people who, you know, of course I get people who say, how can you call yourselves Democrats? Don't you know about the Democrats? Of course I do. The point is to show that this is a united fight. It's all Americans, and there's way too few people on the left. I'm a left liberal. There are way too few people who on the left who are aware that the environmental movement has been hijacked and is being manipulated. This is not an environmental protection plan. This plan is a plan to destroy everything that you value in your world. It's a way to take over your control of your land. And you know, when we talk about private property, this is a control of private property. It's a takeover. It's a movement of moving your private property from individuals into the mega corporations. And when you see that, you understand that you yourself are your ultimate private property. And this is a way to take control of your civil liberties as well. And tying in with what you said about the New York Times and other propaganda press doing what they can to destroy this movement of people who are waking up to United Nations Agenda 21 Sustainable Development and trying to stop it. What's happening now is, of course, the press is attacking us viciously. I've had vicious articles written about me. All kinds of people are saying ridiculous things. And of course, the American Planning Association, which is vital to this movement to take over your your land and your water use and your control of your property, they have put out a new communications boot camp. And it's a 12-week seminar on how to control and manage the press and how to reframe this issue, because they know people are waking up. So we need to stand up together. We can stop it, but we have to get rid of these minor issues. And I'm talking about the minor issues of who's a Democrat, who's a Republican, who's gay, who's straight, all these issues.
They use that as a football. They use that to distract us, and then people end up supporting Santorum over Ron Paul because, you know, he talks more about abortion when he intends to do nothing on the right, or people that are obsessed about the whole gay marriage thing instead of all the other huge things that are going on the left. I absolutely agree, but let me just add this to what you're saying. The fact that they're attacking shows that we're having an effect, A. B, Al Gore's been discredited. Schwarzenegger pushing this has been discredited. They're in trouble right now, and they've got the 20th anniversary of this Agenda 21, as you know, about to happen back in Rio again. But this is about private property. If they openly come out and say, we're going to take your private property, people would say no, but they call it environmental. And we see it now where you can't build a barn. They've got drones watching the farmers. I mean, this is the Rural Council of Obama. That's right out of Agenda 21. Please continue with the things it's doing to people, the plans of Agenda 21.
Yeah, well, you said it. You know, the White House Council, the White House Rural Council, which was established by executive order by President Obama, is modeled on the President's Council for Sustainable Development, which was created to instate United Nations Agenda 21 in the United States. Agenda 21, the agenda for the 21st century, it's also called Sustainable Development. It was an agreement. It was signed on to by George H.W. Bush and 178 other national leaders back in 1992. And, you know, you're going to see in the press that, oh, this is an old plan. It was non-binding. It doesn't matter. But the truth is that they brought it right back into every single nation, and they instated it. It's the action plan for sustainable development. And it is, you're seeing it now because it has been a stealth plan over the last 20 years. And they're in the end game now. And that's why we need to, you know, drop our nonsense, our minor issues, and get together across the world and fight this. And we can win. We can do it because it's a global plan, but it's implemented locally.
Well, the elites have put out memos, like you said, and I'm not saying some of these issues aren't important, but they call them footballs. They throw them out so that the system can agree on global government, the whole fascist system, and they admit it. But going back to the UN, as you point out, they admit this is the global plan. They admit it's a post-industrial world to shut off people's resources, so you have to go to government and be dependent so you can be socially engineered. But also part of Agenda 21 and UNESCO is global standardization of law enforcement, federalizing, and in England's already done this. Now the U.S. is adopting a quasi-cop, near minimum wage goon force. Again, they have this in England that harass people and ask folks what they're doing in parks. DART, Dallas Police TSA offers security help at latest violence. And now because there's crime because of increased poverty, now the TSA is going to be in Dallas. Now they're going to be in San Francisco. Now they're going to be in Tampa. They're everywhere. Federal, non-sworn officers out of their jurisdiction. The answer, again, this is, and if the feds take over, the feds themselves are under this global system. We're being conquered here, Rosa.
You know, Alex, it's worse than that because those guys are wearing uniforms, and at least you can recognize them. But the truth is that the way the plan is designed, well, of course, you have community-oriented policing. That's in every, you know, single community. You find those little offices. Those guys are operating under the Department of Justice. Then you've got your, I was just looking at DeKalb County, Georgia. They are making sort of your local citizen into a code enforcement ambassador. You've got people in small cities, in small neighborhood associations that are actually working with the city to get all of your information on you. They're actually toadies, they're shills. They're creating these asset-based community development programs where you are the asset and you will be doing mandatory volunteering. If you want to know how Agenda 21 impacts you right now, Take a look at Sonoma County. That's where I live. It's a rural county. We're about an hour north of San Francisco.
Bohemian Grove.
The county supervisors have just announced that out of the 1,384 miles of rural roads, they will only be paving 150 miles, and the rest of those roads will be pulverized to gravel.
Unbelievable.
Now, that is going to have a tremendous impact on people's property value, on your ability to get to your property.
I want to stop you right there. We're going to come back from break and continue on what this is going to do. But I hope people are listening here, because when she talked about this the other day, I went and looked it up because I heard it on the radio, and I knew they were doing this. They said they destroy the roads. They have that map we'll show, a UN map of half the U.S. off limits, and they say the rewilding is first they go to dirt, then they're going to start making you have a special permit to travel in there. And when you hear 100 and something miles in that county, it is hundreds of little roads. I've been there many times covering Bohemian Grove. It's concrete roads up stuff so steep without it you couldn't make it. I mean, that is beautiful wine country, beautiful homes everywhere. This is the sabotaging of our infrastructure. It is high treason. And we're going to get into these toady spies, because I've run into them. They hire spies. Out in East Texas, where we've got a family ranch, multiple times they tried to build a new coal power plant, and they sent little Nature Conservancy minders and others to literally go door to door to do all sorts of stuff, to harass people, to threaten people. And they are so creepy, and they're operatives, and they act like they're citizen activists. And so I guess you've run into these little toadies yourself, and then continue with how many miles of roads you've got out there and what they're planning to do. Rosa.
Everyone has run into to these people, and they're, what does it take for someone to be, to go along, to get along? It takes, maybe for someone it's just to appoint them to a board or a commission, or to promise them a contract, or just give them a pat on the back and tell them how important they are to the city. There are plenty of people out there who are willing to be obedient servants of this plan. People who are maybe also getting money, people who buy in totally to this plan. And I really have compassion for people who are environmentalists who really think that this plan is about the environment. It is not. If it didn't sound so good, we wouldn't all be falling for it. It's a manipulation plan. It is a totalitarian plan. So yes, they are pulverizing. They're talking about they have no money here in Sonoma County to pave our roads. What do your taxes go for? What do you want from a county? You want them to pave your roads and, do a few things like that. Well, they're not going to be paving around 1,200 miles of roads here in Sonoma County. And if you can't get to your property, what does that mean? It means you'll be coming into the cities. There are already 60 million acres of roadless land in the United States. And the plan is to keep you out of the rural areas, keep you out of the forested areas, move you into the city centers where you can be surveilled, controlled, manipulated, and managed. And I know this sounds crazy, but you know what? The plan is crazy. We are not crazy. We are recognizing, we are reporters of what is going on. There are people in neighborhood associations who are actually working for instance, the Lung Association. The California Lung Association has an advocacy arm for smart growth. When you want to find these people in your community, put their name in your search engine with ICLEI, that's I-C-L-E-I, that's the International Council of Local Environmental Initiatives, or put it in with smart growth, or put it in with sustainable development. See what comes up.
And by the way, they've now put their signs up at many of the hike and bike trail entrances to Austin as if they made the hike and bike trails. So they're all, I mean, they're putting their gang sign up where I live.
These are your tax dollars. Now, I ride a bike, you ride a bike, bicycles are great, but the bicycle coalitions are the shock troops for sustainable development. If you go to my website, which is democratsagainstUNagenda21.com, and you read about it, it's also in my book, which is Behind the Green Mask, UNagenda21.com. I talk about how the bicycle coalitions partner with huge low-income housing developers.